if that's my goal, whatever my goal is for 31 December, then where do I need to be on the 30th of September? When you start with the end in mind, then you work backwards. So you plan in reverse and then you take action in a forwards direction. So let's again play out the end of the year goal for the purpose of the entirety of 2021. You then say, okay, if that's my goal, whatever my goal is for 31 December, then where do I need to be on the 30th of September? What are the milestones that I will have need to have ticked off in order to then hit that goal at the end of the year? Where do I need to be on the 30th of June? Where do I need to be on the 31st of March? 28th of February, 31st of January, next week. As you bring it all back, there's certain milestones that you're going to need to hit along the way. Otherwise, you're never, ever going to get that particular goal at the end. That doesn't mean you won't get it, but you're not going to get it in the time frame. So it might be pushed out. But if you want to get it in that time frame, and that's the idea of putting a time for it, putting a little bit of pressure behind it, you want to then plan in reverse. Milestones, what are the specific things that need to happen? And then beneath that, there's an enormous amount of planning. So you start with some of the milestones, then in order to hit that milestone, here's about 5 or 10 things that I need to do. Right. And I literally went through this process with a new client that started with me in December, and they're in small business. And we went through on one day, we talked about just purely blue sky thinking. We spent the whole day focusing on what do we want the world to look like in all elements of their business. We then came back the next week, and so after we'd agreed on what we want the world to look like, we actually laid out the plans and we provided enormous amounts of specificity, specifically what's going to be done, who's going to do it. So we allocated the task, when is it going to be done by? So it was very, very clear. So there's no misunderstanding as to who's doing what, when, why, how, because we got down to that granular level. And I encourage all of us to do exactly the same. That's exactly what we do in my business. So you want to spend a lot of time on the planning side of things, and then you break it down as much as planning for the week, right? So you've got your milestones, you brought it all the way back to where you are. But now as you set your week up, it might be on a Sunday evening or a Monday morning, whatever works for you to set your week up. What are the things that you want to tick off this week that take you to where you want to get to? And I tend to, even though I start by starting with the end in mind, what I then tend to do is I don't forget about that, but I just then get really laser focused with the things that are directly in front of me. I don't get too caught up with, there's that thing down the road, because I know that when I do these things in front of me, as long as it's in line with my plan, then I know when I pop my head up and look down the road that I'm going to be on track. Does that make sense? Whereas a lot of people will get caught up on the daydreaming of, that'll be lovely when we do that and we achieve that. Isn't life going to be grand? But you're losing sight of the fact that there's 101 things that needs to happen between, then and where you are today.